I'd like to say, first of all, I mean, I enjoyed the show so much tonight, really. And in the theory of getting back what you put out, I mean, from the audience, you and the band seem to enjoy it so much.
Yeah. You know, one of the initial things I wanted to have fun. You know, I just started out doing it for fun. And that's a big reason why I still do it. I'm lucky I can make a living at it now, you know. And the day it stops being fun probably be the day I stop doing it, you know.
Because I get the impression with the layoffs that you had, you must have been building up and longing to get back on stage again.
Well, we were on stage. See, what happened was we had 3 years where we were out of commission, really, because of the legal thing. But during that time, we were doing small tours. We toured down south, and we toured the Midwest, and different parts of the country. And that's how we were keeping everybody, you know, staying alive, you know, keeping the band, paying everybody's rent and everybody's, you know, things they needed. And so we were playing during that time. We did, I think, 4 tours during that 3-year layoff. And then took about 11 months to do the album. So that was about the time span, you know.
Yes, I'd like to talk to you about your roots, Bruce, because 2 times I've seen you. At the Roxy, I remember you did Manfred Mann's Pretty Flamingos, one of the songs that you did that night. And you did 2:45 tonight, and I noticed there's a bit of 40 Miles of Bad Road crept into all this. So you're obviously in the middle of the rock and roll thing, but diverse as well in the 60s too. What actually are your roots musically?
Well, when I was 9 years old, you know, my mother had on Elvis Presley, you know, so that was the first blast, and like it was the kind of thing like, you know, you come down and go to school, and like the radio would always be on in the kitchen every morning, you know, whatever the top 40 station was, you know. And so she was always listening to music, you know, and I guess the early rock and roll stations, you know. And because I was only 9, and I remember when I saw Elvis, it affected me enough to go out and get a guitar, you know, and try to play it, which I couldn't do because I wanted to play like it right away. And in those days, you know, like when you went to take lessons, you know, it was like, you know, some crazy song or something. So I gave up till I was 13, and the English thing happened in America, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Animals, and so, you know, and that was the time when I was, you know, in my teens, you know, like 65, I was 15, you know, 16. So there was that. And then what happened is, then I sort of went back, you know, in a funny kind of way to like the things that like the early Spectre things, which was early 60s, I was 12. I went back and I remembered them, you know, in the back of my mind, you know. Like in 1955, I was 5. In 56, I was 6. But I went back, you know, to that stuff because it was just the stuff that was ringing most true to me at the time, you know, because there was a strange period in music from the late 60s into the early 70s. I wasn't connecting with too much of what was going on, you know. And that sort of, you know, formulated, like at the time of Born to Run, I was listening to a lot of Phil Spector and Duane Eddy and just your sort of traditional, you know, like for me, a rock and roll guitar sound, that was, you know, that was Duane Eddy, or that was like Peter Townsend, the chords, you know. And I was not that blues influenced, you know. I was never that into blues. I was into the soul stuff, into the R&B artists.
You said you enjoyed it very much, Bruce, but did you feel pressure on this album too, from the events of the previous 2-3 years?
There was a certain pressure, you know. It was like, because I knew that we'd done Born to Run, and like it meant a lot to a lot of people, and a lot of people supported me on that thing, you know. A lot of people in the English press did, and a lot of people in America, you know. There was a lot of like supporters that really helped get it out, you know. And there's a pressure of not wanting to let them down, and you don't want to let yourself down, and and you're testing yourself to see, like, you know, what you got, you know, what you got to, you know, give. So those pressures are the main pressures that I felt, you know.
How did you react at the time to the promotion that CBS put behind Born to Run? Because it was a massive promotion campaign, wasn't it?
I think for those days it was, for 1975. For 1970, what is it, 7, 8? It's like what made it seem like a lot was the time of news recovers, you know, and it was a funny kind of thing. Plus, there was a lot written about it. There was a lot written in the press, you know. There was not like a lot of ads. It was like something that it was just focused on by the media in general at that time. So it seemed like I think a bigger campaign than it was. It was a big thing, you know. And
so are you after a hit single now, then, Bruce? Because that's really the only thing that hasn't happened here.
Yeah, I'd like to have one. I'd like to get on AM radio and blast it all across the United States, you know. It's like, you know, that's like, I'd love it, you know. It's like, I want to, you know, blast it into them housewives' kitchens, Badlands, you know. It's like that's, you know, I always wanted Born to Run. That was the one thing I was always disappointed in. It was the only thing that ever mattered. I always wanted Born to Run to be like a big hit single, you know, and it never was. And now we got Badlands out, and like I like that song, and I wanted it, you know, I want it on that. When you get in that car, I want it, you know, and you hit that dial. Boom, 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 you know, it's like I want it, you know. I love it, you know. I never heard anything of my own on AM radio. So yeah, you know, I'd like it a lot, you know. Right now I'm like, you know, it's like, if you want an audience, well, you gotta like get off your ass. You gotta go get it, because you know they're not gonna come. Oh, hi, you know, walking around knocking on the door. Hey, oh, you're so great. You know, they're not gonna. You know, that's like a bunch of jive, man. You know, it's like if you want it, you better go take it. You better go work for it. You know, and that's what I'm interested in.